Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and close the doors, please. We'll go ahead and go on the record officially. This is the Nevada State Board of Agriculture, and we are on the record. The date is September 2nd, 2015, and the time is 9:08 a.m. We'd like to welcome everybody to this morning's meeting, and we are in 3 different places today. We're here in Elko, we're in Reno, or excuse me, Sparks, and then the state engineer should be joining us in Carson. Are you there, Jason?
He's not gonna be there till 1.
1 o'clock. Okay.
So he's gonna be right there at 1 o'clock.
Somebody in Vegas.
Yeah.
You wish.
Yeah, that's Damon in Vegas.
Okay. That's us,
That's us.
Jerry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna join, DCNR won't join us till 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And, so basically I told him we'd come back from lunch and then move him on the agenda to that.
Well, he'll be the last one, because we'll be done at noon.
Very good.
How's that?
I got it, Paul. Found the button.
All right.
Just little bitty one right here on the side. Sorry, Davey.
Actually, it's best if none of you see anything at all. We'll get through this a lot faster.
Okay.
All right, let's all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll go ahead and go around the meetings in Sparks and Reno and do roll call for board members. We'll start over here. Tim, why don't you start? We'll go clockwise.
Tim Deverina, Humboldt County, Livestock.
Brian Nakaguchi, Clark County Pesticides.
Boyd Spradling, Humboldt County, Livestock.
Charlie Frey, Churchill County Viticulture. Paul No, Clark County Nursery.
David Sticks Jr., Lyon County Cattle.
Paul Anderson, Washoe County Petroleum.
Pete Paris, Elko County, Nevada Little Road.
You're good.
Sparks.
Connected. Somewhere.
Okay, that should take care of all the board members, right? Our Vegas contingency's all here, right? All right. So we got everybody here. We do have a quorum. We'll go ahead and start in this meeting room here with our guests and staff. So why don't we start, Jeff? Why don't you start?
No, just introduce yourself.
Nevada Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, I just want to get out of here at noon.
Carlo, Department of Agriculture, Plant Industry. Jonathan Dahl, Oakland County Farm Bureau. Clay McCauley, Nevada Farm Bureau.
Kaylee Sproul, Nevada Cattlemen.
Daryl Purcell, Lyon County Farm Bureau.
Bill Strachewski, Nevada Department of Ag, Consumer Equitability.
Dale Hanson, Nevada Department of Agriculture, Fiscal Administrator.
Lent Wright, Animal Industries.
I'm Mark Jensen with Wildlife Services.
Dennis Belcourt, Deputy Attorney General.
Terry Conrad, Nevada Department of Agriculture.
Department of Ag.
All right, and Sparks? Ooh. Okay, and who's in Vegas?
Looks like just Damon.
Damon? That's Damon, everybody, in case you want to know. Okay, a little confused over here in Sparks. I heard the word organics. So who do we have there? I don't recognize the name. Yeah, but who are you with?
Great Basin Organics, they're the new organics group. So they're
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. She introduced herself already, but I want to take a moment to introduce our new executive director at the Nevada Cattlemen's, and that's Kaylee Sproul. She's sitting right behind me. And so she's just, what, a week or two on the job, Kaylee?
Over a month.
Oh, okay. Well,
Time flies.
We'll go with that.
anyways, she's sitting right behind me, so she's joining us today, and so we're glad to have her. Thank you, Kaylee. Anybody else have any special recognition of anybody? Is there any public comment? This is a chance to talk about an item that's not on the agenda. Any public comment? Any in Sparks? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. The min. I can't see your hands. You guys are gonna have to speak up. Okay, did you say Clint Colby with who? Okay, go ahead.
FSA.
FSA. Go to the microphone. You have 2 minutes. Thank you. Time's up. And we do support you, Clint. Thank you. Anybody else on public comment? Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, there we go. Let's go ahead and do the minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes from the June meeting? Does anybody have any clarification, questions? Blatant misspellings? Horrible grammar they would like to report? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain, any public comment on the approval of the minutes before I ask for a motion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes June 3rd. Mr. No?
I move to approve the minutes from June 3rd meeting. I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. No made the motion. The second was by Mr. Anderson. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any in opposition? Anybody that wasn't here that has to abstain? Okay, motion passes unanimous. Item 5, administration. A, let's discuss the European Trade Mission. Board may direct staff to develop and present a proposal for board approval at the December meeting. Jeff Sudich, International Marketing Coordinator, for possible action.
Maybe. Sorry. Do you want me to do my report on 4?
No, that's the only way we're going to get out of here by noon.
Sounds good to me.
We're separate. Item number 4, Director's Report.
Couldn't be for done, man.
Item 4,
It's like college.
Director's Report.
All right. So first off, you notice that you've got new critters sitting in front of you, iPads that we're going to be operating off of. Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains in this, but we're hoping that this will continue to make things more efficient and effective at the agency. So you'll receive notice of meetings in the future, and those meeting documents will be attached to the site that you're on currently. I would ask, including staff and guests, if you have wireless service on your iPad or on your phone, to please disconnect from the Wi-Fi, because that'll make things move a little bit quicker. So only those that only have Wi-Fi can use the Wi-Fi connection, because depending upon the board member's situation, they either had, in some cases, they have the Verizon wireless connection versus having to use Wi-Fi. That'll just make things work a little bit better for us. With that, starting off, you've got there my director's report that basically gives an outline of the activities I've been involved with over the past 3 months, to hit some high-level stuff along the way. Update on the southern headquarters facilities building, former Metro building. We have gone through the Public Works has gone through the bid process on that, and they're reviewing the bids now and tweaking with subcontractors. It's our understanding that they still intend to start work on the new or on the old facilities, updating it into the new headquarters in October. We're still predicting that the agency won't be in there till March, in which case we're going to try to hold the Board of Ag March meeting in Las Vegas versus doing the December meeting in Las Vegas, simply so that hopefully we can get to see the new facilities and utilize the facilities for that meeting. But as you know, it's construction, and we'll pace things and see as we move forward how that progresses and what it looks like. You may be aware there's a drought summit that's being sponsored by the governor's staff that's going to be held, I think, September like 23rd, 24th, 25th, something like that, in Carson City in the legislature. 21st through 23rd. Thank you. And there has been some confusion on what that is and what that's going to be about. Just as a source of information, they're basically going to look at consolidating the information that's been collected by the drought forum that the governor formed by executive order back, I think in March, April, in that time period. That information that's come into that drought forum is going to be what's driving the conversation at the drought summit in September. And then they're going to be looking for that drought summit to formalize what those final recommendations are to the governor, the legislature, to the citizenry of the state in terms of addressing the drought issues that we have in the state. Many things that we saw discussed at the last drought forum that was hosted at the Department of Ag are things that I think they're looking at validating and including in the recommendations. Everything from reevaluation or a look at water law in the state to examples of cloud seeding to increasing the capacities that we have in our reservoirs. All of those things are on the table. And so I would encourage folks that are interested in this topic, obviously all of ag industry is interested in this topic, to come to Carson and participate in that 3-day drought summit so that agriculture's voice is heard. Most of you are aware, and probably the Cattlemen's and the Farm Bureau Association has more information for sure than I do, but we had joined the lawsuit on the waters of the U.S. to block that rule. That was an injunction was put up against it in North Dakota, I believe, and so they have, because we're one of those states that were part of the lawsuit, that means that rule implementation has started in Nevada, but the EPA did come out and say they will continue to implement the WOTUS rule in states that did not participate in the lawsuit. So for Nevada, you know, that's working out much better for us than those states that didn't. We had an all-staff meeting this past month. We brought staff in from Las Vegas and staff in from Elko to Reno, reevaluating the different things that affect the agency that took place during the legislative session and where we're headed into the future in terms of developing regs, so on and so forth. You're going to see that on the agenda as we move forward today, but that was a successful meeting. We are hosting a harvest party, garden harvest party on September 10th, correct? At the agency where we're inviting legislators. We'd invite any board members that would like to participate. This is at the Sparks office. The Sparks staff has taken the courtyard area and turned that into kind of a community garden, and so we're kind of celebrating the accomplishment of doing that. Then we'll also offer legislators and interested folks into a tour of the agency at the same time. Not a real formal kind of plan, but an opportunity just to staff and agency to get to interact with some of the legislators that choose to participate in any Board of Ag folks that will also like to participate. We'll probably have our budget staff at LCB and at the Governor's Office of Budget also participate. Governor's Agriculture Conference will be held in Las Vegas on November 10th this year, and you will see more information and agendas moving forward in that. We've gotten a lot of interest in Las Vegas from some of the Las Vegas community, and we're talking about gaps in our agriculture, gaps in our production capacity, and that'll be kind of the theme in the conference that we'll be highlighting. The Western United States, get this right, the Western United States Ag Trade Association will be elected, put in place, whatever you want to call it, as president of the organization in September, in a couple of weeks, moving from the vice chair position to the chair position. And with that, I will be participating in the International Food Show, Anuga, that's held in Cologne, Germany in October. So I'll be going to that. USADA will also be hosting a directors board trade mission to Vietnam in April that I'll be participating in, and that'll be in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. And I think that's going to be around 8 days in April that we'll be participating in that. We are looking at an international leadership trade experience for the board, which Jeff Sudich will be bringing to you here shortly to discuss in just a few minutes. We had our park committee meeting yesterday, and I'm sure during the update Flynn will highlight that in his. I met with the new Director of Homeland Security for the state, Caleb Cage, last week, and we're continuing to work on better working relationship with them relative to our FEMA capacities in our laboratories, those type of situations was very positive. Our range specialist position has been posted, and so we're taking applicants on that position. It was a position Tina Mudd formerly held before she went to bigger and better things with Granite Construction. So we wish her all the success in the world, and we're moving forward recruiting for that position. We held on July 15th a request for information meeting with those that are interested in looking at different ways to improve the food commodity distribution program. We had requests, information reports put in by 3 organizations, including the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, the 3 Square Food Bank in Las Vegas, and Catholic Charities in Reno. And we're evaluating those to see what opportunities that exist, and we'll be coming out with a response to those RFIs in the next couple of weeks. You may have seen, and Flynn again will touch some more on this, Department of Transportation has been working on fencing the Highway 50 corridor between the Four Corners on the way to Fallon and Carson City, or actually Dayton. And I actually went through there last week, and they've made quite a bit of progress. They're getting things done pretty quick there, which we're hoping will improve public safety along that 50 corridor. It came out last night. I don't have a lot of the details, but we did have a citizen that was diagnosed with West Nile in Sparks. They are not exhibiting the signs of the disease, and it was actually discovered through a blood test when they were doing a blood donation. And so we're monitoring that with Department of Health, obviously. Sage grouse continues to move forward. Most folks are aware of where those things are. We're expecting to see a decision out on the feds here any time now. Some of you did probably receive an email from board member Morrison late last night. Can comment to say that there is an investigation underway, and because there's an investigation underway, we can't share a lot of that information with you, but I will say there's an investigation underway, and it's moving forward relative to horses that were branded. Relative to regulations, we have 3 regulations that are under director's authority that I've granted permission to go to workshop and hearing. One of those is the breakfast after the bell program. That's pretty basic in that the statute that actually passed the breakfast after the bell bill lays out what the regs have to say. So it's kind of basically going through the process for a waiver for school districts to be excluded from required participation in that program. We have a weed-free certification reg that would be adoption of the North American Invasive Species Management Association's rules by reference. And then we have a proposal to adopt the APCO regulations by reference for fertilizer as well. And so as those go to workshop and go to hearing, we'll collect that information, and then I'll keep you attuned to where we're headed on those regs. And then lastly, I wanted to acknowledge Dawn Rafferty, who's seated behind you. She is going to be retiring from the agency after 15 years of service in just a few days, effective September 10th. But she's given 15 years of great service to the agency. She's been a loyal and steadfast employee. She's been extremely loyal to me in my 4 years, and I greatly appreciate that, and publicly acknowledge the great thing that she's done in leading many projects through the plant division, and she will definitely be missed. So we want to acknowledge her and her time at the agency, and give her a thanks and round of applause. In that position, Robert Little will be our acting plant division administrator, that's sitting next to Don, and we're advertising that position, and we will do interviews and then make a selection over the next few weeks. So again, best of luck to Don, and appreciate her service to the Department of Agriculture. And with that, that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for the director? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item 5, administration, and we're gonna have Mr. Sutic discuss the European Trade Mission, and whether we want, hey, yeah.
Well, so I sit as a member on the drought forum that was formed back in April, and between Lynn, because Lynn Hetrick's filled in for me on a couple of those meetings, we've been heavily engaged in the conversation along the way, and of course the industry representatives, Farm Bureau, cattlemen's associations, and others beyond that have been involved in those forums. At the actual summit, I'll be at the summit the entire 3 days. Lynn will be speaking on one of the panels. I believe we have some other folks from industry maybe that are in this room that will also be speaking and fielding questions on those panels. But I would totally encourage any producer that wants to participate. I think it's a free registration, and it's right there at the legislative building to come participate, and there'll be lots of public comment opportunity and opportunities to share your thoughts and opinions. My response to that would be the more the merrier. Based on the drought forum meeting that was held about 2 weeks ago, it's all running together now. They are aware there's definitely interest by the agriculture industry. We filled up every conference room that we had and the entire foyer, or the entryway to the building, the lobby to the building, completely. And I would expect most of those folks will be participating in the drought summit. We will send out more information on the date and the link to register to it after this meeting to the board members specifically. You bet.
And Alan, I'm involved in the whole thing, so I'm there. Who is it? Please state your name for the record.
For the record, Jim Barbie, the summit's in September, not December, and not that I'm aware of. The forums, meetings that they've held up to date have all been informational and gathering, and I want to say there's been 3 of them. Lynn's participated in the first 2, and I participated in this last one that was held last week. So it's my understanding that the drought summit will be basically the final gathering point for all that information, and that will be 3 days long. So there's plenty opportunity for folks that love meetings to get their fill.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Barbie? All right, Jeff, we need to discuss whether, what do you want to do here? It looks like you want an approval. Just go ahead and explain here what's going on. And hi, Jeff.
Okay. So Jeff Sudich for the record, with the Nevada Department of Agriculture. This proposal on a business development and/or trade mission brief came about due to governor trade mission to Europe this last summer. And so we looked into it, reached out to the USDA Foreign Ag Service and at the embassies in the different country markets, Germany, Poland, and London, to see if it made sense for us to participate. In talking to those different agencies, they thought that a springtime or a fall activity would be better. The European Union is the largest exporter and importer of food and ag products. So, and they're one of their larger country markets that they import food from is Russia. And right now there's a ban on food from Russia due to the turmoil over there. So their thoughts were that it's definitely a good time to try to get some of that market share. And so looking at it, we thought, okay, it might be a good time to either do a kind of a business development kind of learning tour to go and tour some of these countries and see how do they do their production, how are they doing their growing, what are the markets looking like, what are the opportunities for our companies there, or also doing a trade component where we go and do some of the tours and also do a B2B, business-to-business matchmaking meetings to find buyers that are interested in the products there. So I passed out a kind of a sheet to kind of go over what I was going to talk about. Some options that we could consider if the board's interested in an activity like this.
Do the other offices have a copy of this?
They don't know. I can email it later.
I'm gonna see if, sorry, I'm gonna step out and see if Billy can do that.
Scan it over to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to get you board members there, Alan and Jim, what we're looking at, so you know when Jeff starts going through there. So this brings up a great opportunity to ask a question, Jeff. The first thing I want to say is agriculture, whether you're on a national level or in our state, exporting our products out is essential. But we're not going to make it unless we can export our products out. I'm just wondering how beneficial to us is it to have you go and learn and teach other countries how to do what we do. We don't want that. We want them to be buying our stuff. So I just want to cover that. Where are we crossing that line there of economic development or
So we would be in turn going and learning from them. So rather than us teaching them what we do, to learn what they're doing and then to try to see what the market demands are there. So we wouldn't be teaching them what we do. We'd be going and learning how are they doing it there in their areas, and then what is the consumer demand for Western products or unique products that are coming from the U.S.
so give us an idea. What would we want to learn from them?
So
We're the masters at this. Nobody else in the world does it better than us. Okay? So try to No, I'm being facetious to make a point. What can we learn from them?
So we've got some small niche industries popping up, different distilled spirits and wines and stuff like that they have been doing for hundreds of years. So we could learn and see what are the best ways of, say, since I'm looking at Charlie, we could maybe go and see, okay, how do they blend their different grapes? Maybe this one versus this one, or this one's 300 years old, and how do we combine it with another one, or if we are trying to develop different types of crops, like we've got a fig bar company in Nevada that's looking at growing their own figs. Italy, Croatia, they do amazing, for a long time they've been growing figs, so we could see, okay, what is the process of doing figs there. Granted, we can go over to California and see how they do it there as well, but going over there we could get that unique perspective and how are they marketing it to their consumers. And by learning how they're marketing these products to their consumers, we could also learn how can we market our products to their consumers as well, and see the whole process of that they've been doing it. Olive trees and cattle genetics, the whole spectrum. They're importing a lot of these types of products, so we know that the demand is there. Did that answer it, or was that?
Can I just add? I would use like last night as the example where we've seen an intensified production model where somebody's got a ranch, but they're also doing the brewery on the side. The informational side of that will be a combination, or what I would envision, a combination of being able to see what the culture is, what's driving the culture. I know, for example, one that I would use is when we went to Korea on the trade mission. One of the things that was surprising is that Korea had discovered that blueberries, which they had never really had in their market or in their country prior to that, and they were on a blueberry like kick, addiction, whatever you want to call it. And then recognizing the cultural differences, because you get to firsthand kind of see how they operate, how they function. We saw some companies start to look at doing blueberry flavored liqueurs, blueberry flavored food processing that basically is trying to reach that niche market. We're looking at some of and that would be part of the conversation in terms of where we targeted and where we went, to basically put producers on the board, producers in the industry that would want to join the trip, to see those different cultures where we go, wherever it is that we would go to, and then see the intensive agriculture processes that they have. So maybe it's touring a small dairy that's also then doing some kind of specialized cheese that's specific for their market, and seeing what those flavors market variances are in those different countries. It's getting a better feel for what's going out there, but it truly would be more of a learning experience and looking at things differently for us, for our producers, to then come back and at least drive the thought of, what other options do we have in our current production situation? We've run, the example would be, I ran cattle, Dad ran cattle, Granddad ran cattle, great-granddad ran cattle, and we've been running that same model, and that's great. And at the end of the trip, that may not be a change, but at least gives a different perspective for producers to look at other options that they may have. It's kind of a leadership, educational, but then also being able to identify markets that we can start developing our processing, expanding our processing capacity in the state of Nevada, to increase our food security, to keep more of the Nevada dollars in Nevada versus shipping out to other states or whatever our products are, and having them processed in other states and then marketed by other states. So it's that whole big picture.
Yeah, it's a great sales pitch. I just warn we're not talking about the automobile industry, and that's what happened in the automobile industry, and we lost our edge too. Quality went to heck, and they brought in the Japanese. They kicked our butts. We're not talking about this
At all.
in
It's
the
opposite of that.
Well, yeah, but what I'm hearing is you're going to go there, learn their. Charlie, is this what you want? A European wine producer to come to America and compete against you, And that's what I don't want to see us do, and I don't want to see animal where we're already fighting the issue of diseases and controlling those of outside influence of other countries of bringing that stuff in. So
We're focused on export, not import. And so I guess that's where I'm having a hard time understanding. We're trying to see what their markets are and where we can gain advantage in their markets and maybe expand the diversity of production capacity
Gotcha.
we have in the state to address those outlying markets in other
Gotcha.
countries. So in other words, if our trade, and you know, at a super high level, our trade in the last 4 years, and correct me, but it's gone roughly from $95 million to 250 million dollars in exports out of the state of Nevada into foreign markets. So it's really trying to see things that are being done in other countries and going, hey, wait, you know, if that's a market that is driving in the Czech Republic that they're really looking for, and those are emerging markets in terms of they're becoming more affluent financially, so on and so forth. Russia has been blocked out of some of those markets because of the political sphere of things that are happening there. Is there a void there that there's a place for Nevada producers to fill with our products, which could change our production models in the state?
I have a question because I just want to make sure. So again, what we're looking at the export and gaining knowledge from the people that are already doing it. What I'm thinking is just what Dave said. He's not looking for any more competition. Are these people going to be that open to us? Because we're typically trying to go after their customer.
I'll use the example of Vietnam because I've had a hard time getting my mind wrapped around going to a trade mission in Vietnam just based on my cultural experience and, you know, the 40 years of experience that we've had with that country. They want American product, and they want American product specifically because after the conflict and the war, when we left Jeep, John Deere, Caterpillar, all this kind of equipment and American product that they've continued to repair and fix. And so now they've identified America as an elite product. And so they want all the American product that they can get. We're competing in just the USADA region, or the Western United States region, with all our surrounding states in terms of the export and the trade. And those markets are hungry for it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying. So anywhere we can look and evaluate, you know, how we can expand our market share over there, that brings money into the state of Nevada that we wouldn't otherwise have. The difference, I would say, is between the 95 million and the 200 and whatever million that we've done in the last 4 years. And in that situation, agriculture's been only one of two of the sector areas that's increased our trade in that same time period. So, and then I think you look at the food safety, the food quality things that we have to offer in the United States, that also becomes another driving force on why foreign countries would want, you know, our product. And a lot of those European countries are very small, and a lot of their stuff currently comes out of South America. Out of South America, so we would be trying to get a bigger market share as those countries develop, expand their financial situation, so on and so forth. That's going to answer. And understand in doing this, and what we're looking at on this proposal, sorry, this is something that producers, we would offer up as an organizational piece where producers would sign up. They would have to pay their own way to this, but of course it would be associated with the businesses, be a tax write-off, as it were, for other companies or corporations, however they're formed and sit. But this is basically a learning market training opportunity. With all the pressures that we have in Nevada that we've seen from listing of species and, you know, those kind of things, it's trying to just look forward and look at diversity of what other things we can do. Going with eyes wide open.
Yes, question? Yes, please, and say your name for the record.
export sales for food and agriculture from Nevada to international markets was $250 million in 2014. Organics is a huge market in Europe. And if we have organic producers that are interested in exporting, I'd love to talk to them. And I think it's definitely an opportunity for them.
Thank you very much. Okay. S- Not really, but go ahead. There you go. Your name for the record, please, sir? And I was hoping not to have to bring it up, but since somebody brought up China, I think this board should be very, keep their arms around this and keep an eye on it. I disagree completely. The Chinese manipulate the dollar, and they are actively looking for hay ground in Nevada. And when they can manipulate the dollar to increase the hay to the point where Alan Perazzo can't buy hay anymore, then I think it's wrong. And I think that's where some of the presidential candidates have their arms around this. Is that's not fair. They don't. But anyways, off of that subject. So what do you want to do, Jeff? With you're looking for an approval.
So I wanted to just say there's different options we could do. We could do this learning development tour. We could do just strictly a trade mission where we go and we meet with buyers and don't go and tour these other operations. You can combine it. You can do one year. You can do one the next year. There's different costs associated with it. If you do the business-to-business component, you have to hire a contractor over there in Europe, and that I would recommend the one that we use, the Western U.S. Agricultural Trade Association. Quite expensive to use them. But another thing is on the trade part, you want to keep it to a select few sub-industries. You don't want one person from 10 different industries, because then you're not going to get very high quality buyers. It's going to be tough to bring value to it. So you want to keep it with, say, meats and produce, or ingredients and nutraceuticals, or just certain industry sectors, so that you can get multiple buyers to come to the meetings that will be able to meet with multiple companies. So I guess to rephrase that, if we do a trade mission, we want to keep it limited so we can bring more value. If we do more of a development tour, we can incorporate everybody. So we can do more targeted trade missions, which the cost of it would be a little bit more, or the cheaper option and a learning option would be to go and do more development tours.
So what we're looking for from the board is a direction. So do you want us to try to put together a proposal that we would bring back for approval to the board? Or are you like, yeah, we have no interest in this, and we don't think Nevada should be doing this at all? And so before we expend energy and resources and time, we wanted to get direction from you on that.
I say you bring back a proposal. What's the rest of the board? I'm just trying to throw something out there to, yes, Mr. Spratling.
And I'm speaking from the meat side of things and the livestock side. You know, there's probably a lot of opportunity outside of that, but that's an area of trade that has been heavily regulated from both sides of the ocean for a long time, and breaking through that, except for maybe end products that are, you know, retail products going over there. When you're talking about any kind of fresh or frozen meats or anything else, that's everything from non-hormone, you know, treated animals to a whole variety of different reasons, and surely animal health considerations start falling into the consideration also. So I see that as being a tough thing to break through. Not that we shouldn't, but that, you know, I think the livestock side would be a tough thing to break through. I'm a little bit skeptical about even the wool products. You know, that's, you know, those fall into the same type of regulation and trade barriers that, you know, have been in place for a long time.
And I would just, you know, say that I agree with that. I think there are huge barriers, otherwise it would be easy and we would have done it a long time ago, obviously. And that's where, on this direction that you would give us, if we were to do something, I would almost lean, at least in the first one, on the first time out, more of a business development, to really kind of give producers and processors kind of a look at the market, a look at the experience or the opportunities, to be able to bring that information back and say, okay, well, how can I use this information to expand the opportunities I have within my specific company, within my specific organization, versus, and I think it would be the most affordable, as I understand it, rather than the business to business saying, well, we want to hook Boyd up with such and such meat processing to try to develop an export of your beef or an export of your genetics or whatever, to really kind of go over and get a look at this emerging market. And then that would give us an opportunity to come back and then become more specific in the time, say, well, we want to go look at specialty cheese and developing and, you know, an exchange there or whatever it may be.
Charlie?
I have a question for Jeff. I think I know we're very concerned about you know, what we could lose if we did it, but we may gain a lot too. So there's pros and cons to this. And I guess my question to Jeff is, can you explain how the dairy industry has been able to create this powdered milk plant in Fallon and then start shipping overseas? Because I really see a benefit in being able, like being from Fallon, there's a huge demand now for hay, which we do. We don't do the dairy, but we have dairies right next door. And so our productivity had to increase rapidly, and we had to, our tons yield per hay had to increase, so we had to put fertilizers and look really specific things to try to increase our yields. And yet that benefited the dairies locally, and that really benefited Fallon locally, because we are now selling milk, powdered milk, to other countries and exporting it. So I want to kind of, we're all concerned about this, but there should be a correlation, and I'm not sure how DFIA got into that marketplace, but they did. They eventually did, and they've got a potential of millions, because the countries that they're selling to, a big dairy is like 6 cows, and some of these other countries, and there isn't any fresh milk. So powdered milk becomes really in high demand, and we are exporting, which our nation needs to start doing more of exporting instead of importing, because I think we're still at a positive on a trade deficit. If you look at the agriculture, that's kind of a conflict there. Anyway, we're exporting more ag than we're importing. And I want to keep doing that, but then also do it more for these other products. So I guess, how would you say DFA got through that barrier that everybody's talking about on, the import duties and, getting into that market? Are you familiar with that?
Not necessarily on how they got through the barriers prior to going into it, but demand in Asia has increased a lot over the last couple of years. Their disposable incomes are increasing because their economies are starting to do better. And China, especially with their one-child rule, their incomes are going up, and you've got the grandparents and you've got the parents, and everybody's putting all their money into this one kid, or in these other developing countries into their families, and they don't trust their products. So they know that our products are heavily regulated and that it's healthy, so they'll pay the premium to get that good product to make sure that their family is healthy, because their societies are really around the family. So demand over in the ASEAN region, which is like the Southeast Asia area and the China area, have really taken off. And with the dry milk powders, they're wanting a good protein for their kids. And so they every trade show I go to, I always have multiple companies come up to me and say, where can I get dry milk powder? If it's in China or if it's in Indonesia or Thailand, over in the Asian markets, they're really, really pushing for that. So, and it's continuing to go up.
Careful on your talking there, and Sparks. I sure can, Alan. Alan, would you like the floor? No, Alan, you may not have the floor. Jeff was speaking. Thank you, Alan. We need you to chime in. Go ahead, Jeff.
So with the DFA plant, they're doing, I think it's about 1 million pounds of dry milk through it a day, and they've got the ability to do 2 million pounds. And then once they get to that point, they can double that to 4 million pounds a day. And some Chinese companies that were interested in purchasing this milk that came through one time, I think they came in with the Northern Nevada Development Authority. They were really wanting the Nevada milk because they understand that Nevada hay has, since we don't have a lot of rain that washes out all the nutrients, that hay has a lot of nutrients, and then that means our dairy cows have a lot of nutrients, which gives it a higher protein content. So they were really pushing to try to get that plant to use as much Nevada milk as they could, rather than importing it from other places. So that's.
I want to follow that same logic. Now look at the wine industry. Back in 2000 when we started planting grapes, Jay Davis and I did a lot of research on wine consumption in the United States per capita, per person, versus wine consumption overseas, like in Europe and these other countries. There was a huge difference. I mean, the other countries per capita, they were drinking like 17 to 18 gallons per year, where the United States per capita was way down there in the 2 or 3 gallons per person. So we anticipated that the demand was going to go up, and at that time we saw huge imports of imported wines and other things, coming in. So to me, they can teach us a lot of things, which is a plus, for you going to do this. But I'm not really concerned about competition. I'm more concerned about learning what they're doing instead of them competing with us, because they've been competing with us for decades and decades. You go all the way back, and a long time ago, before Napa really got big, they were the main importers and United States per capita consumption was not very high. It's probably less than 1 gallon, I'm guessing, per capita. So I guess there's concerns about what they can learn from us and concerns about what we can learn from them. And to me, on the wine side, I think we could learn a lot more from them than they could learn from us, at least in Nevada. I'm not saying about California, because there's tricks in the trade that you cannot believe. I mean, there's little tweaks where you can blend wines and you can make, a wine really taste good. A blended wine, and a lot of times if you go buy it in the store, it's a lot better than a specific varietal. So it's an art. It's like drawing a picture. It's like what the ingredients you put into this to make it perfect, and we'll never reach that point probably. At least once we do, then we stop learning. So I kind of see the advantages and I see the disadvantages too. So thank you.
I guess the only thing I would throw out is, wouldn't you rather go learn than have Jeff go do it and then come tell you he might miss a step, and then you screwed the whole thing up?
I'll go.
Alan?
I'll go.
And Jim, I completely agree, but we have to be cautious at the same time. Jeff, that statement you made about the hay, that is totally false.
Okay.
Totally. That is so untrue. I can't believe that somebody would come up with an idea that our dry weather in Nevada makes for a better hay. Because they're putting up hays in the Sierra Valley area that are produce way more. It has to do with the cool air. So that kind of stuff bothers me when the Chinese come around and say that, they want our Nevada hay because it has more protein or nutrients in it.
We can market it though still,
Just to comment on, I think what Jeff's trying to say, when I researched that very subject, they wanted Nevada hay because it was green. They did not even care. The marketplace wanted it green. And if you had one stem of straw in a hay bale, they would kick the whole sea cargo container back to the United States. And that's after we cut them and made little suitcases for those dairymen to carry to their dairies, with 6 cows. That's the way the market was. You made them cut a bale in half and made them into a suitcase so they could carry them. But they did not want high protein hay, and we were asking them why. And they said no, and this was all from the exporters of the hay, and I forget the guy's name, sorry, Peterson or something like that. he said that's all they want, and they did want Nevada hay, but it wasn't really for quality, it was for the looks.
Well, that's a completely different statement than what
Yeah.
Jeff said.
Well, no, but I think.
That's the
maybe-
problem with this whole thing, Charlie.
No, I understand, and you're right, the higher altitude you get, the better TDN you get, the better quality of hay you get. And we're really high at 4,000 feet, or 5,000, whatever, depending on where you are, but they do make better hay than TDN wise.
Jim, do you want to make a motion about what you said a little while ago? Snyder? Could you please put in option 1 as part of that motion?
Business development.
It's a business development mission. Thank you. Is your second still stand, Alan? Or did you second it? Thank you. Any more discussion on this motion? Does everybody understand what the motion was?
We'll go over it. Yeah.
Yes, questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. That's all. We need to move on. We have a motion on the on the floor to approve. All right? Yes, Lynn?
That was from the buyers, the Chinese buyers that I got that information from. So there's no verifiable information that I know of. That was a comment given to me. Okay. And I wanted to say first also, before it passes, that this activity is to bring industry overseas, not to send me overseas necessarily. I think there's more value in industry representatives being over there to learn directly rather than me. I'm learning constantly by these conversations and can share all of that, but I think it's more important this type of activity for industry to be there, and rather than me. I might be there to help with it, but I think the point of it is to have the industry there over there learning.
Thank you, Jeff. And by the way, just recently, if anybody's paid attention, their markets have fallen in several areas in agriculture, and you know where most of it's coming from? It's the dollar. So how do you throw that equation into there? That completely blows it completely out of the water.
Right.
You can do all the sales pitch you want in Europe, but if our dollar isn't worth a damn, it's over. So,
Or if it's worth too much.
yeah.
That's where it will actually.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we do have a motion. Charlie, did you have an explanation on the motion? Yeah.
I couldn't hear. I'm having trouble hearing everything there, and I didn't understand the motion.
Okay.
Maybe if somebody restates it, it's in here, then.
Yes, Jerry Williams Conrad.
Jim Snyder moves to direct staff to move forward with a proposal for option 1 business development mission.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, is that what you were wondering?
Yes, with option 1.
Yeah, option 1.
Okay.
Option 1 business development.
Okay, the question has been called on. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimous. Thank you, Jeff. Item number 5B, Policy and Procedure, Fleet Management for Review and Approval. Dale Hansel. Daryl Hansen. Oh, it's the Hansel. He looks like a Hansel. So, Dale, what do we got to approve?
This is just another policy that actually came out of a recent audit that
This is the
I'll talk
link
about in just a
on
few
your
minutes.
agenda. Sorry, Dale.
Go ahead, Dale.
If you look on the right, you'll see the audit.
It was sent out last week for you guys to review, and
Go ahead.
All right. So this is our fleet management policy, and basically what this does is just puts in place policies and procedures over our vehicles. It identifies a fleet manager in our agency, talks about how to buy the vehicles, talks about how to take care of the vehicles, do's and don'ts for using the vehicles, and so forth. So I'm bringing this forth to you to approve. We pushed it through because it came as this takes care of an audit finding that we had that I'll talk about a little bit later, and it'll allow us to actually go to the September, later on this month, the September Executive Audit Committee, tell them that we've met our.
Is this a statewide policy that's used in other departments?
No, this is not. This borrows from a lot of other departments.
And we had to customize it to fit the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, and Robert Little helped out a lot, Mike Geisinger helped out a lot to put together this policy procedure, so.
Is this a new position that you have to bring in?
No, actually, this is an existing position. We have Mike Geisinger, who's our program officer, he does our facility maintenance, and then also takes care of our fleet maintenance as well.
Charlie?
I have one quick question. Do the legislative auditors approve this, or does the state controller's office and the cappers review this first before it goes to the legislature?
Actually, it doesn't have to go to the legislature. This is as far as it has to go, as far as approval. This just came out of the Department of Administration's internal auditors. This was a finding that we didn't have this policy, so we wrote up this policy to actually clear that finding.
Now, we could be audited by the Legislative Council Bureau, in which case they could say, oh, well, there's some issues here and we think you ought to change this, da-da-da-da. But the ultimate policy authority comes to the Board of Ag.
Then I guess my question is, are we outside the control of the Controller's Office, the State of Nevada Controller's Office, and I think they call them cappers that go around to different agencies? Now, this is what I understood initially, a long time ago, is that the Department of Agriculture is outside of the State Controller's review, or they call them cappers, that go around and look at all, and basically prepare budgets for the coming year. They look at what we have done, or all the state agencies have done, the cappers do, and then they develop a plan for the legislative auditors. Now, are you outside of, in other words, does any state controllers come in?
Well, LCB audit, as I understand, is driven by the Legislative Council Bureau, by the legislature, which the controller is a separate elected adventure, as it were.
You guys were trying to approve a fleet management policy. That's what's on the agenda.
Correct.
Internal
And so we're creating this policy. Where this is coming from is when we were audited by, who can also audit us, the Department of Administration, which is one of the departments, like the Department of Ag, under the governor's executive branch. So basically then these audit findings that which we're going to talk about here in a minute, are presented to the governor,
Secretary of State, Controller's Office, Treasurer's Office, General Public, which is the CPA usually.
which is the state audit committee, right? Or
Yeah,
is
it's
it
the executive branch. Audit.
And they oversee us? Is that group?
They have audit capacity over us, but you have the regulatory authority or the policy and procedure authority
That's
for
what
the
I
agency.
understood, yeah.
So that's why this comes to you, you guys could pass it. It could be audited at a future time and they could say, well, we think it's deficient in this way. And as you're gonna find out here in a second, then you have the opportunity to respond to that audit, because we're actually gonna ask you to respond to the audit on a specific request that was put in the audit after this topic. But, so in trying to come in compliance, we're supposed to have, because we have a fleet, we're supposed to have a fleet management policy that we do not have. Or if we did have, it was, way back, and has since, when we moved to the new building, so on and so forth, it's disappeared. We're putting on the books a fleet management policy so that we have that in place.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other questions or comments?
I was gonna say, is there something we need to discuss before we make a motion on this, or, you were talking about something that we're gonna be talking about?
Next topic.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, just as the chair said, you're looking at this policy. Do you have an issue with it? Do you approve it? Do you disapprove it? That's what we're looking for, because we're trying to get a policy in place before we go. Because in September, we'll have to report to that audit committee, and we'll either be able to say, we've developed the policy, we took it to the Board of Ag, and they approved it, or our update is, we developed the policy, we took it to the Board of Ag, they found it deficient and wanted us to adjust these things and did not approve it.
Is everybody, yeah, Mr. Sprouting.
I'm just asking, before I make a motion, is this policy changed dramatically with the actual procedures, the existing procedures that are in place? for
No,
your vehicle?
I think probably the drastic change is we have little nuances between different divisions, and so this is a consolidation of those. And I think that part of this probably change-wise would be that not a change in where we're headed, because we've been headed there for a couple of years, but addresses that we're going to this global GPS system that's in the vehicles that allows us to monitor, fuel, lights up if the engine is in dismay, when it needs to be serviced. It's a whole monitoring system that we're actually already underway and implementing.
And Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept the proposed policy and procedure for the fleet management.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Spratling made the motion. The second was by Mr. Frey. Any more discussions on this motion before we move on? Any discussion from the Sparks area? Hearing none, all of those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, any abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. Dale's not moving, is he? He's got the next item. Audit report recommendation, board to consider submitting a bill draft request to the legislature to change statute by adding a representative of the general public on the Board of Agriculture. Mr. Dale Hansen.
Okay, so in January, Department of Administration, their internal audit team, again, conducted an audit, the second part of their trilogy, as far as auditing us the last 2 years. And out of that, again, we talked about the fleet, having a fleet management policy, but the first recommendation that we did not respond to,
There, try that.
No, the quality will be better.
Let's talk loud, Dale.
Alrighty. So the first recommendation of this audit, we could not respond to because we felt like, well, we didn't have the authority to actually respond to it. And that was to revise statute to add a representative of the general public on the Board of Agriculture. And basically, they suggested that we submit a bill draft in the next session to change the structure of this. And basically, in the audit, what they did is they compared us to other boards in the state and other boards of agriculture per se in other states, and found that we did not have a member of the general public on our board. And so the recommendation was for us to submit a bill to change the structure of our board.
Charlie.
Would that mean that,
Somebody's got to go.
okay, but, no,
Yes.
I'm ready. No, I guess,
Or two positions.
I don't understand this totally because a representative from the general public
Yeah.
is probably a consumer of ag products, which we all are. So what would the definition of this representative on the board be? Because is he a consumer of ag products, or how
Have
would
you
he?
been through this before? The definition, once you submit that bill, it's gonna be
See, that's the
all over
problem.
the place.
That's the problem,
General
Charlie.
public appointed by the governor.
You bring up a good
Could I-
point, but
No, well,
no, I'm just saying, you bring up a
We're
good
all-
point. But can you imagine how that looked in a bill draft, that this person must consume agricultural products?
yeah. Eat meat, cheese, drink wine, vegetables. Paul, you'd be out.
Mr. Spratling.
Where the the blowback where we say no thanks?
Well, I mean, ultimately, and this was the conversation that we had back and forth with the auditors of, you're asking the board to reorganize itself. I mean, my feel is that should come from the governor or from the legislator or an individual legislator that's interested in doing that. And I would use the example of the Board of Education, in the time that I've been in government, the Board of Education, the Wildlife Commission, where that was driven by the lawmakers. I mean, the Board of Ag is a regulatory, piece. I think, you can basically go from a response of, we concur and we will direct the director to develop a bill draft, or you can go to we do not concur, which I think, my argument was, they said, well, everybody on here represents the agriculture industry. And my argument was, not everybody on the board represents the holistic large agriculture industry, that they represent different parts and pieces. And I said, example of the petroleum representative, I wouldn't see them seeing themselves as a big agriculturist. I said to a certain extent, the nursery and the pest control and some of those probably wouldn't see themselves as big agriculturists. They said, well, they're a part of the industry, and we have to have public, and we believe there should be public representation on that. And so that's kind of where it was driven. And so, you know, another option could be a response back in the effect of the Board of Agriculture would, you know, recommend as part of your statute, what you're supposed to do, recommend to the governor's office that they address this issue through the next legislative session. I mean, you have a multitude, I think, of choices in where you want to go and how you phrase this back. I mean, I don't want to pin you into one response.
You know, the difference being, you know, like with the Board of Wildlife Commissioners, not everybody's a hunter. So a public representative makes a big difference. I don't know very many people who don't eat, you know, and so in that sense, every one of us are consumers and, you know, and supply that sort of input. So I think there is a big difference between those comparisons.
And I'm not here to argue the side.
Here's just a thought. We could bring on a hunter as an example, right? And somebody that likes to hunt because they're out there with nature. We could bring on a Department of Motor Vehicle representative because we do a lot of transportation of our agriculture products across the state and across state lines. Where does it stop? I mean, I don't have any objection to it, but I think we're all concerned about the hunting rights, the Department of safety issues. I mean, if I'm a consumer, I'm just as concerned about getting good food products as everybody else sitting at these tables. So I don't know where.
Charlie, hang on, hold your thought. Please turn the microphone off in Reno. Well, somebody stepped up there and that's all we could hear, so mute it or something.
They're having a problem talking to us in Sparks, and I think that's Jay Ludlow trying to fix that.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is how would you identify this new board member and what would his title be? Because I'm in a really, pardon me?
Specifically, it would be identified as general public and would be under the appointment authority of the governor.
Have we established, would it eliminate a chair or a seat on the board?
No, I mean, that would be part of what would ultimately come through with this recommendation. That would have to be a bill draft, either vis-a-vis the Department of Ag, the governor's office, or a specific legislator.
But see, you can't.
Legislative committee, because you would have to either.
It's an even number, first of all, adding somebody. So you either have to have two or erase two. I mean, we can't be a governing body and run around with an even number.
Right.
I mean.
So you'd either go from 11 to 13, or you'd stay at 11 with two positions that are currently aligned with certain industry sectors within the ag industry changing.
In the past, we've talked about different topics that we could impact the direction by voting on, or allowing the legislature to impact by us not voting. In this one, I mean, it's going to be going before the legislature either way. So whether or not we think we're coming out with the best direction on this, they could change it through the legislative session and come out totally different. So I guess my opinion is really, I don't see that we're going to be able to influence much of a direction. If the legislature or the general public say we need to have this position, it's going to be tailored to what whoever the strongest lobby group is, in my opinion.
I think that's where we ought to go, is we're not touching this. The legislature can make this change if they want, or the executive branch. can request through the legislature, and we'll stay out of it, let the different entities that are represented go to the legislature and oppose it or support it. But as far as the board,
So in terms of us addressing a response to the audit committee in September, as the director, I would prefer that that be your response. In other words, not say that we don't have a response, but articulate that response in the form of a motion that would basically say, the Board of Agriculture would choose to allow the natural legislative governing process happen and would encourage the governor and the legislature to address this in the next session as they deem necessary.
So moved. So moved, yeah.
okay, motion's been
Second.
moved by Mr. Spratling, seconded by Mr.
Who the hell did I?
Frey.
I know, I was like,
Hang on just a second, I just wanna make sure, I mean, on the legal side, we're not,
Hey, hang on a second, you don't have the floor.
Public comment will happen before the vote, but we're not there yet.
we're not deviating from the item, are we?
No, actually.
The item is whether, Dennis Belko for the record, and let me get to the item as it's specifically stated, it's whether to submit a bill draft request to the legislature, and your response is let the legislature do as it deems proper with the executive branch. I think that's perfectly within the time.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Any more discussion from board members? Okay, Sparks, if there's no board members in Sparks that have a comment, whoever was... Thank you. Go ahead. Yes, Alan? Alan, if you heard earlier Dale mention that the guys that did the audit were trying to compare us that other boards do have an at-large sitting on them. That's why the recommendation was done. Does that make sense? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, and Dale Hanson for the record. And it was a basic statement about that this will enhance public accountability, oversight, provide additional perspective, and help fulfill the department's mission. There was no fear, per se. They were just comparing us to other boards within the state and other ag boards outside of the state.
And if you look at page 5 of the audit, I think that's where they tried to articulate, where they identified that the Department of Agriculture, which is the first one in red, the director does not report to the governor, which is, I'm not sure totally 100%. I mean, I report through the Board of Ag. The governor is not a member of the Board of Ag. The governor appoints all of the members of the Board of Ag, and that there is not a public member on the Board of Ag. And so they're showing those as 3 strikes, and then you can do that as a comparison to corrections. The director of the corrections does not report to governor, but the governor is a member of their board, and they do not have a public member, so the governor represents the public. Education, the superintendent reports to the governor. The governor's not on the board, but they also have a public member. So you can kind of see they go through them all in that exhibit.
Alan, was your question answered? Alan, I think it's a discussion you and I are going to have on that tour of the dairy. And just so everybody knows, we were formed long before many of us were even born. It's a long time ago, and I think we're just seeing the new age catching up with us, that there may be a little class envy out there of why we have a board here, and it's made up of industry. So anyways, any other board members out there in Sparks? Public comment? Well, you would be excluded from being a person at large to sit on the board, but if you would like to have an organics person on the board, that's what we're saying, is we're throwing it to the legislature. And if they want to do that and support a bill to do it, then go ahead. Any other questions? Okay. All of those in favor of the motion? Everybody okay with the motion? We've had a little discussion since then. Would we like it read back?
Please.
Go ahead, Jerry.
He's still trying.
Okay, Boyd moves to direct that the director's audit response is to communicate that the Nevada legislature and executive branches do as they see fit regarding this appointment. Tell me.
Right, now I'm let me read it again here. Where you at? Point two. Okay. So I would recommend, you're right. I would recommend that the Board of Agriculture recognizes the governor and the legislature's authority to draft NRS and would leave this decision for them to consider in the next legislative session.
That's totally appropriate.
Is that kind of there?
That's how government works.
That's a lot.
God almighty.
Did you
But she's drafted.
Okay.
The Board of Ag recognizes the Nevada legislature and executive branch's authority to draft NRS to address this issue in the next legislative session.
Why don't you describe it? This issue of appointing
Of the Board of Ag composition,
a representative from the general public.
but it's bigger than that because you're gonna have to address the whole board's composition. Do that.
Yeah.
And the audit that we're responding to is on that, so that's
Does
fine.
that mean one of us could just change from, but the board could, the governor could say to any one of us, instead of being in viticulture, now you're representing the general public? Am I correct?
Yeah, they could.
That's what could happen.
Take a position and redirect it as general public, or they could add 2 positions, make one general public and one something else, and then we would go from 11 to 13. Or, and again, it's the legislature and the governor's office. That's what they do. I mean, they could take the whole thing and change everybody's position. I mean, that's the process that would go
I
through.
don't, I don't
the
think
process of
it's a
legislature.
biased opinion for this board to be saying how we should be composed. You know, and what is the composition of this board? It's really not, it's kind of outside our purview.
Right.
We're a regulatory.
I mean, the governor appoints each one of us. I mean,
And the
they
legislature sets up
basically-
who's on it.
Right.
So I think it's kind of outside our purview.
And I think that's the intent of your first statement, which would be that the Board of Ag recognizes the Nevada legislature and executive branch's authority to address this issue of the Board of Ag's composition in the next legislative session. I think that's what that's saying.
And we have a motion made and seconded. Yes?
So that would be motion by Boyd, second by Charlie.
All righty.
Who did?
I did. All right, all of those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Board update, Dale Hansen.
All righty, I'm still here. If you guys want to go ahead, we've closed out.
Hold on a second, Dale.
Okay. I'm sorry, we're communicating about technical difficulties in the other offices, so when, would you?
I got a text from Jay Ludlow, our IT guy in Sparks. He just said they're having issues hearing the audio recording on the report, what they've actually recorded. And so, what issue does that pose for this board in this meeting right now?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
having trouble recording the Zoom.
What I recommend, if you have a failure of technology, that's okay. I mean, you're excused from that. However, I would recommend coming in with another recording device if possible.
Okay.
So that's my recommendation.
How are we doing about the Vegas hitch?
They haven't fixed Vegas yet. They can hear and see us, they just cannot talk to us.
But do we need,
When the time comes,
Robert
can we have
Levitt?
them call in on a hard line?
That would be fine, yeah.
So we need to take a recess
it probably wouldn't hurt, yeah, take a quick
to
break.
get another,
We have to get a phone in, because they took the phone out.
okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a recess and be back. Don't anybody wander too far.
And then we'll get a recording.
We can go over to Cashman. Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Bill?
Doing great, by yourself.
Good, buddy.
Doing great, Paul. How are you doing?
How did we get where we can have a mid-grade and premium with no alcohol? Do you know they do that? About that fall. I thought it was since we're close to California. California, California, this is you need that help for me.
Good. Get out of this office.
Because they knew well, the only reason it happened is I come on the tail end of, my old cars are insured through Agrides, and they sent out a report. They listed all the states that are require how much ethanol, and if there's ethanol in the fuel. And, you know, my old cars aren't supposed to have anything over 10%. So luckily around here, they can have it. Right, but I'm up, my daughter can do it, and you can get mid and premium alcohol because of the fact that they just all the refineries that bring in.
We can have the board meeting over at your office. We can have a board meeting over at your
California or Northern California. They already have the alcohol.
Well, they don't have the alcohol in them, they don't put the alcohol in there.
Oh, really? I don't know. Look at the additives. Three bedrooms.
That's because all of the girls
knowing ethanol,
Make it like five
ethanol,
until
bring
it
it
gets
up like that.
It's now like octane, 7 octane, it's
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Really?
Like that.
And it's crap?
Exactly.
yeah, that's when
But it's been long.
that's why.
I was like, what does that mean? That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. He's about on the way out. I know.
Record time.
Didn't Chevron's guys, our first one we had when we came into the Chevron guy said, manganese issue, that, hey, we don't support this, but we'll raise our octane level of manganese. We use.
He's retired and I'm just kidding.
So who's Chevron, what do they use? Manganese or octane?
I don't think they use manganese.
No, and they don't say.
But they are producing.
Anyway, that's.
And that's,
I'm really thinking about that.
Basically sounding ridiculous, I know.
But it is long.
so ethanol is how they raise the octane.
Yes, sir.
And that comes back full circle to our classic cars is we're not getting the same gas.
All right, you hear us from Vegas?
Regulations, always, not just out there.
Levels were lower too. I remember
Guys from
reading
Vegas?
52 Chevy. They didn't have this kind of Yeah.
Yeah, cul-de-sac. How they compare, but
Well,
not a direct.
the whole issue of the article from Hagerty was Steve, in true ethanol.
This is what the.
I better go in. You know, thank you. Your check's in the mail. Is it? Bringing me, yeah. It's just a sign. For what?
Just like that, yeah.
Oh.
And the.
But I was watching earlier. I don't know. I'm really glad you did
You're gonna be like.
No, seriously.
It is.
The whole civilization. You know, there's a reason why you ag fail.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay. I'm not sure why is it too loud. What was that? I couldn't hear you. Well, the profile was saved. I saved the profile, so when it rebooted, it should be the same profile. It's saved as the default. So I just overrode it to the default one. So is the audio not working on the TVs right now? Yeah, I can't hear you. It's noisy.
can't hear you. There's a lot of noise. Yeah, I'm hearing echo.
Thank you so much. Okay, great, thank you. Oh, gee. I got just a little bit of devastating grief though, because I was charged with my university. So when they got it all set up, it was just me with my hand. I got this 2 months. Everybody's pushing out together here.
Did you get into yours? Mine was just stuck in the rabbit. Can I hire someone? There you go. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That'll be nice. Good luck. Their lifetime is 22. We're playing I really do Yeah. Yeah, like in my job, I do consulting with to high schools, people who come up hardly or not speaking. So I'm in charge of food. Hospital. And I keep them research. Thank you. Retire and do this on the side. I enjoy doing that.
It was what makes you well. Went down the completely broke the kids. He knows something shows the streets down the sewage wastewater system. There you go.
You're saying that organic.
See, that's what it is. And then you shift it to what are you primarily?
Because I'll tell you what, I can tell you.
Yeah, you know, just because you saw the market transition. Yeah.
Okay. Where it's polluted, I don't think it's and where it's sustainable.
Water enforcement,
where it's polluted, I don't think it's
today. It's supposed to be. And that would really embrace my house. Okay, so I have 60 acres.
I guess I don't come across. Organic.
Who's doing that? Yeah, I guess so. That's through. It is all. But
the other thing, you put it in a lab, you cannot tell the difference.
Yeah, that's a hard thing.
Great question.
So
we're putting this whole cashew
yeah, but see, I think I would have assumed that way that.
The garlic was
so I'd have to have my tanks above ground. Not to escape that far.
Shut down
they just throw roadblocks in the can.
What if the catch basin is located inside the greenhouse?
Some of them are actually here for about 10%.
We're ready to go now. All right, we go.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's always pretty fascinating to me.
I'll give you my card. Let's not be.
It's a tricky trade. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
So let's
We're not a producer.
I have one of these though, Dave.
Okay, guys. Ladies, guys. Yeah? Oh.
Actually, Dave, guys.
Is that?
Yep.
Really?
All right. But I haven't been using it incorrectly all this time.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen would probably be more appropriate, right? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, are we on the record?
Yes, we are on the record.
Wait a minute.
Can you hear us?
Okay, sorry about that. Sparks, are we on the record down there?
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yes, we are on the record.
All right. Thank you. do you have any explanation maybe on our new technology? Or can we just go ahead and dive in?
You can go ahead and dive in. It's just a recording so that we can allow a fourth party to dial in. We only have a license for 4 dial-ins, so we're doing a workaround recording.
Okay.
This is Vegas.
Right,
Can everybody
so-
hear us okay?
Hey, Vegas. Yeah, glad to have you. All right, so we're on the board update from Dale Hansen.
Alrighty, if you guys want to talk about the revenue report, the revenue report. Revenue report. I'm just gonna go over some highlights of some of the revenue. This is so 2015 state fiscal year 2015 is done. Our deadline to get everything in is September 4th. Pretty much we had to stop doing everything August 31st as far as transactions. So the actual numbers are the final numbers for FY 2015 on this report. So I'm going to go over just a few things, just to highlight a few things in that report. On page 1 of this report, in budget count 1362 for food commodity, you see there's a service and handling charge. It's RGL 3811, and it's for $781,000. That is the current subject of our current audit that we're being subject to by the Department of Administration. And this has to do with complaints from Clark County about being charged too much on the service and handling fees. So when we get through with that, that should be it for audits from the Department of Administration for hopefully a couple of years. Be done with that. And so just highlighting that one. On page 2, under budget count 2691, if you look under the school breakfast program, we actually had more revenue come in. And just to highlight that we have the general fund money for the breakfast initiative, but this program's actually already has started growing before we actually had the general fund money. So together with the general fund money, we may see more of an increase in participation. Let's go to page 5, which is the revenue for budget count 4545 for plant industry. And just to highlight some growth in some areas, we had an increase in our pest control operator license fees. That was up to $316,000. We had an increase in our pesticide registration fee, and that was up from about, I want to say it's up about $30,000 or $40,000 from last year. And remember, this is the fee that we actually started to automate the collection of fees with our pesticide registration system. And I honestly believe, I think that system actually contributed with gains.
Was there a fee increase or just you have increased income?
No, we have increased income revenue from over last year.
Okay.
Then I want to go to livestock inspection. That's on page 6. We have the livestock inspection tax. And as far as that number, the $189,000, we do not have a decrease in that area. It's just the way the accounting took place. And some of the money is being counted by 2016, so I just want to make that clear that we didn't have a decrease in this. I actually think we're just flat as far as growth in that area. Brand inspection fees, that one was down for sure. And Glenn can tell you, or most of you can tell you, just weren't as many inspections needed to be done this year. And then I think, and then on page 9, you go to administration. I just want to kind of clarify 2 fees that we have in our administration budget. And one was the facilities charge, and that was revenue from the Governor's Ag Conference. And then the other one is membership sales, and that is actually our Buy Nevada program. And that's actually doubled from last year. Collection of Buy Nevada membership. So that is all I have for revenues. I'm not going to really get into expenditures unless people have questions after that. There's not too much to highlight there. Like I said, we're closing the budgets. We had an August 19th IFC where we had the breakfast initiative money moved into its own special category, so the legislature could actually follow how the money was being spent. We increased our meal pattern program budget. That was increases in education and in training. And then we had the Yule Education Inc., the people that are doing all our automation, or at least we hope that they'll do most of our automation of the brand inspection system, the pesticide registration system. They were not included in the FY 2016 budget for pesticide registration, for paying them for pesticide registration, maintaining that system. And so that was included in that one. And then we just had a deadline, August 28th, for the October 21st IFC, and we essentially just have two work programs going there. One is being able to use the dairy auditors to help us out with our USDA audits. We've been able to, again, I think we've said this several times, streamline the dairy audit process, and as a result, we have hours that we need to fill as far as keeping the dairy auditors busy, and so there's plenty of work on the USDA side to help out with those financial audits and compliance audits. And then the second one that's going to go to IFC, and this will probably have discussion, is the commercial feed budget account. And so that was not set up during legislation. That was not included in our FY 2016 budget. They wanted us to come back during the IFC, during the Interim Finance Committee meeting, and tell them how it's going to unfold and show us the numbers for the budget. And so that will go October 21st is that IFC. And then as far as contracts, we were able to amend the current contract with Yule Education concerning our brand inspection system. So we included the brand recording component of that system. And actually that's pretty much almost live. I mean, it's got pretty far.
Not to interrupt you, but Flint Record, we actually performed the first one yesterday. It does work.
So we encourage everybody
Online payment.
to go online, make your payments. You can do quite a few things online. You can get your certificate.
Yeah, you can essentially see your certificates. You can, and you'll be able to re-record your brand online through the system. Using the comes on your brand card over there, the registration number. You can use that number. Basically, you're going to put in how it's registered. So, you know, if it's under Spratling Ranch or Dufferina Ranch or Sticks Cattle Company, you put in Sticks Cattle Company brand registration number, which is up there on the top right of your card. You type that in, and you can go through the whole process and re-register your brand right on.
We are really encouraging that. As you know, we want to see savings out of the system, so we can have people move over to the online system. That'll get us out of the manual labor that goes into that. So, and we promise savings to a lot of people.
Tickets and things like that. Oh, hey, we'll be able to do our own brand inspections pretty soon. All right. We'll be able to take our and go, send it to Flint.
Check.
All right. There it is. But we gladly pay all those fees, don't we, Tim and Boyd? Hey, how come?
5 cows.
Huh?
I got 5 cows.
Yeah. Kaylee, is he a member of Nevada Cattlemen's?
Association membership.
Okay. Why did the cottage cheese assessments do really well, but the butter assessments did very poor?
Yeah. Well, we actually got rid of the butter assessment.
Oh, really?
It was done in March of 2015 or 14. And
tax reduction.
Yeah, and then the other stuff is some of the dairy stuff is there's been an increase in sales in those areas of creams and all that stuff. So that's actually increased last little while. And dairy, I'll just say the dairy commission budget, we have I wouldn't say giant reserve, but no matter what we do to that budget, we can't get that reserve to go down. So we are under discussion about ways to
Don't
get
tell
that
the
down.
legislature that.
Well, and that's one of the reasons
That's
we
what's
want to get
driving
it down, because if they see it keep growing, they're just gonna want to grab it. So,
Yeah.
we want to keep it down to maybe a 90-day reserve, we can get it down there. I'll go on to just quickly, we were awarded a U.S.
USDA Equipment Assistance Grant for school districts. Again, this helps out with the school breakfast program. We issued out $300,000 in sub-grants, which has to be finalized by USDA. And then there was one sub-grant for the USDA Federal State Marketing Program, and that was to Lincoln County Regional Development Authority. We had all 6 of our vehicles approved by the Board of Examiners, the governor. So we're off trying to buy vehicles for everybody and make sure we can get those in early. And then, like I said, we're in our 3rd part of our trilogy of audits. We have to meet before the Executive Audit Branch Committee, and we've discussed that issue. And then as far as policy and procedures, we're still going forth with accounts receivables, grants, and grants policies next. And then Bristol got to present at the all-staff meeting, and it was very exciting and riveting. So there we go. Any questions?
Any questions for Dale? Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Item E is a board update from Rebecca Allard. Allard. Thank you.
She's in Sparks.
She's in Sparks. Hello, Rebecca.
Hi.
Oh, she's not there. We'll move on.
She's there. I'm here.
Oh, okay.
They have to move to the mic.
Oh, I can move.
We hear you fine. Sounds good. You have the floor, Rebecca.
Hi. You have an update in your board packet. I just wanted to see if you guys had any questions about the update, or if you want me to go over anything in more depth, or if the written update is good enough, or what you thought.
Anything that anybody I spies in there that we need to grill Rebecca on? Or does it look okay?
I mean, I can give you some of the high points if you'd like.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, give us the high points. We need some right now.
Okay. So for research, we've been doing some participation surveys for the Senior Farmers Market Program. We've also sent out a Business Economic Impact Survey for the Food Safety Modernization Act. Planning, we're following up on our NDA staff meeting, doing planning for the next biennium, and we're going to be doing some more surveying of staff to see how we are compared to last year's benchmark. We are also hosting the Governor's Conference on Agriculture, as was mentioned earlier. Media relations, there's been a lot. We have a great new series with Channel 8 about the noxious weed of the week, which is just some really great exposure, positive exposure for NDA. There was a lot of media flurry around the bugs at Burning Man. Our state entomologist, Jeff Knight, provided numerous interviews, which was also really good exposure. That has kind of died down. We've been, sort of fringely mentioned in the medical marijuana news stories as our role in that with the pesticide list. There's a big drought piece coming out in the RGJ this Sunday. It's actually a number of pieces regarding agriculture. How much water Nevada dairy cows use, also how much water are used by the top cash crops. And there was actually a teaser today on the RGJ's website. Yeah, let's see, some more highlights. There's been a partnership created with NV Energy to spread awareness of economic opportunities, as well as creating some transparency between NV Energy, GoEd, NDA, and the RDAs. Some international trade leads, and obviously the trade mission that we talked about, and fielding public record requests as needed. We got a big record request from the Democratic National Committee, which has been completed. So, any questions?
Actually,
yeah, right here, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I have one question, and maybe I've missed this in previous meetings, but could you explain the international trade leads and what that represents?
I would actually love to defer to Jeff if he's still in the room. Jeff Sutich. He can better answer that question.
We got it, Rebecca, thank you.
Okay.
So if there's a buyer that contacts me looking for a specific product, I call that a trade lead. And so then I'll forward that on to companies that I know that are interested in those types of products. And I also get a lot of trade links through the Western United States Agricultural Trade Association. If they have anything specific that might target a company within our area, then I'll pass that along.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Rebecca?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, we'll move on.
That guy, right there.
Your tab.
Okay, item 5A, no.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make him look bad. It's not hard.
Whoa. And I was going to support you for chairman next round. Item 6A, update on dissolution of state organic program. Robert Little, Deputy Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Robert Little, Nevada Department of Agriculture. Dissolution of the organic program. As you know, the board voted to dissolve the organic program on the June 3rd BOA meeting. At the time that the NDA at the time of that decision, the NDA was certifying 42 organic operations. Since that time to now, 37 operations have renewed with the NDA for this final year because we are dissolving as effective March 31st, 2016. So we will carry those producers through till March 31st. 4 operations have surrendered their certification with NDA, and 3 of those are in the process or have already sought out other certifying bodies. One operation has failed to renew and faces a non-compliance, and if the non-compliance goes through, they could go into a part where they have to surrender their certification. By the end of this week, NDA will have completed 24 inspections with an additional 18 that need to be completed by March 31st. All organic hay operations have been completed so far for this season. As in the past, the NDA will continue to hire a contract with a private inspector to conduct inspections on 5 of the large handler operations. Because of the staff that we have to hire out an additional inspector that can do the operations, so then we can write off on their inspection. So we've done this in the past. We're going to continue to do this again this season. Let me see here. 17 operations have applied for our organic cost share assistance program through the NDA. This program is awarded through 2018, and we will continue this even though we are dissolving the program. We will continue with the cost share assistance. And in 2018, when this program is up for renewal, we will put in for a renewal for that as well. So we will continue to try to help out the organic industry there. And just as a quickie, that organic operations can apply for a total of up to $750 on that one to go towards the licensing fees and all the certification fees towards the NOP program. NDA just completed an audit on our organic program by the NOP. This audit is estimated to cost roughly around $12,000. And although the findings of this audit have not been released, the auditors did commend the NDA for being methodical, thorough, and transparent in the way we administer the program. And I'll give you an update on the findings of that audit at the next meeting if requested. And on a final note, the NDA has offered and supplied all of our policies and forms that we've created to the Great Basin Range and Organic Certifiers, which has been mentioned earlier today from public comment. And as they reported, they are on track to gain accreditation from the National Organic, the NOP. That's all I have for the organic update. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Anything in Sparks? Hearing none, we'll move on. Okay, this is item 6B, and this is a request permission to go to workshop and hearing to amend the pesticide regulations to protect the public and the environment. It's NRS 555, and we do have a copy of those NACs that are going to be changed in our packet. So is this Bob or Don? Okay, Bob.
Little again with well, you know who I'm with. This is a kind of a laundry list of just kind of cleanup changes and a couple other things. If you'd like me to touch upon it, I can.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
Just for clarification, so all the board members understand what we're doing, because we have several of these in front of you. In the process, this is the request to go to workshop and hearing, so this basically gives the agency the thumbs up, go ahead and do these workshop and hearings. It gives whatever the proposed regulations are an opportunity to be evaluated, looked at by the public, by the industry for recommendations to come into that. Those workshops would happen first. Once the workshops were cleared and we felt like we had garnered what was the best possible movement forward, then they would be sent to LCB to be put into their final draft form. That would come back with an R number, and then it would go to hearing, and then when it came back to the board for final approval or denial, you would have all the information from the workshop and all the information from the hearing as part of your evaluation on whether or not this Nevada Administrative Code change should happen. So what you're looking at on several of these today is not an approval of the reg or a denial of the reg, but actually just permission for us to go pursue and communicate with the public and get that information before bringing a recommendation of change back to you. If the Board of Ag at the end of this process were to approve these regulations, then they would still have to go to the legislative, I'll get this wrong, regulatory commission, and they would actually have approval or denial final rights before they would become an official change of NAC. And that's relative to all of these that say for approval to go workshop and hearing, just so you know, understand the process.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion? Mr. No.
Well, I move that we accept the, to go to hearing on these changes.
Workshop
and hearing on these changes.
Via 5A as stated in our agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The motion was made by Mr. No, seconded by Mr. Paris. Any more discussion?
Clarification, that's 6B.
6B. Yep, sorry. Let me scroll. There we go. 6B. Any more discussion? All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. Okay. Item C, request permission to go to workshop and hearing to implement the industrial hemp research regulations, SB 305, Title 49. This is the lovely Don Rafferty reporting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
For the last
yes.
For the last time.
For the last time. We would like to request permission to go to workshop and hearing to implement the regulations for an industrial hemp program as well as the information by SB 305.
Was this Mr. Peter Kruger's big thing at the legislature?
He was involved in it. It was a wide variety of folks that were involved in the.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one that was proposed by Seeger Bloom and was very large and very detailed, and then they chose to basically implement what authority was given by the Farm Bill in 2014 Farm Bill. And so basically, the language that was put in statute mirrors that was put into the Farm Bill, which gives the regulatory authority for industrial hemp to the board, Department of Agriculture, and the research tied to education.
Higher level.
Thank you.
Institution of
Higher education, yes, which would be, so this is kind of a marriage between us and the university.
Okay.
So they're basically just going forward with a research project essentially. It's not
Right, so the regulatory, which is attached here, what the starting language is, again, this would go to workshop to hearing, everybody would have an opportunity to put their 2 cents forward and make modifications, then it would come back and it would be provided with the hearing and workshop information to make that final NAC reg proposal or denial.
All right. Everybody okay with that? Motion, please. Mr. No.
I move that we approve going to workshop and hearing on the SB 305, Title 49.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. No made the motion, Mr. Spratling the second. Any more discussion? All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. Next is item 6D, request permission to go to workshop and hearing for Chapter 453A to implement the regulations required for the department to perform its statutory functions regarding medical marijuana. This is SB 447, and it's not the last one by Don Rafferty.
Oh, got another one.
Don.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Continuing the cannabis theme, we're asking for permission to go to workshop and hearing for the changes that were made to 453A, and this is in relationship to us creating a list of pesticides that are not illegal to use on medical marijuana.
Not
That
illegal.
are not illegal, acceptable.
I can see now where, Jeff, the foreign thing mix in well.
Don't export it to Indonesia.
Why? They use every pesticide known to man? Oh.
Wow. Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Everybody all right with it? Motion? Yes, Mr. Sprouling.
I move that we go to workshop and hearing for Chapter 453A to implement regulations of the Crime Department to perform statutory functions regarding marijuana in SB 447.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Sprouling the motion, Mr. No the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimous. Item E, 6E, request permission to go to workshop and hearing to adopt the regulations necessary to clarify producers' certificates and vendor certificates. This is AB 77 and NRS 576, Chapter 576. Mr. Little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As stated, yeah, this is a request to go to workshop for Chapter 576 and for producer certificates and vendor certificates. We've already been doing producer certificates for a number of years. Vendor certificates is a new part of that. This would be requiring those who have like fruit stands and the like on the side of the road to actually register with the Department of Agriculture.
If they don't have a producer
If they don't have a
certificate,
producer
they don't
certificate
have an organic certificate.
Okay. And
Lemonade stand?
just for
The
clarification.
ones in Wales.
I like that.
You don't want to buy it from them anyway.
Just for clarification, AB 77 in this item addresses NAC 576, not NRS, correct? Thank you. Any questions, anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. No.
Paul No for the record. Would this actually cover Christmas trees?
Not in the vendor register certificate, because in the write-up that was provided, it doesn't cover nursery stock. So that would be considered nursery stock. And the producer certificates, we don't do producer certificates for Christmas trees either. So
Okay.
no, it wouldn't be for Christmas.
So it wouldn't be required of people out of state coming in, setting up Christmas tree stands or anything?
This is more directed for
Producers, okay.
traceability, physically. Should have said that, should I, Boyd?
Robert,
Yeah.
how come on this first paragraph, you're changing the will to a may?
Give me just a second, I'll find that one.
If they're coming from Idaho with fruit, it'd be a real burden on the department to go inspect that plot of land.
I think part of that clarification is determination of whether it would be a food safety issue versus just basically a regular, hay field or something like that, in which case there's not a food safety issue, there wouldn't be a need to go out and inspect, and I don't think there would be a fee associated. I think that gives us the wherewithal to determine whether it's an inspection need so a fee associated versus a non. And I think Lynn Hedrick can speak to that as well. I think that's the issue.
Chairman, that's correct. That's correct.
Thank you, Lynn. Motion?
A motion is that we go to workshop and hearing or approve it for AB 77 NRS, I'm sorry, NAC 576.
Motion's been made by Mr. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Paris. Any discussion? All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimous. Okay, just item F now is a board update. Don?
So now you can say this is my last.
Okay.
There you go.
I didn't want to, but since you did.
Okay, so we have many of the things that were on our division update have already been addressed somewhat, so this will be very quick. We have staff working, putting in a lot of time actually on the pesticide list for medical marijuana. We also have chemistry staff doing a lot of preparatory work in anticipation of doing THC level testing and pesticide residue testings on medical marijuana, which requires us to put in for a permit with DBA to ensure that we do have federal permission to have and hold cannabis on the site, so we've done all of that. We did create a web page on the website, on the department website, so people can go in and see what pesticides are currently not prohibited for use on medical marijuana. And I believe Rebecca brought up to the press releases and things that we've been doing on that. Let's see, we're going to have Chuck Moses will talk a little bit later about the pollinator plan that he's working on, and that's been, as you know, a very big topic taken on by both NASA and the plant boards. So he'll be updating on what we're doing on that. And entomology, going out to Burning Man to check on insects, which were normal, seasonal, temporary, and everything's back to normal out there the way I understand it. We are working heavily on all of these NAC pages, training some administrative staff to be able to run through that process and get these all done the way they're supposed to be done. We have and are going to have several staff changes within the division. We did recently fill the Ag 2 position in Las Vegas. That was vacated earlier this year with Nick Kneeser, who's working out very well, so we're very pleased with that one. We do, as the director stated, have the Rangeland Health Program Manager position open. We have a Nursery Program Manager position that just opened a few days ago that will be filled divisionally from within. We have an Ag Inspector 2 division, that position is about to be opened, and a division administrator position is about to be opened. We are still working on the online processes. The pesticide regulation online process is going very well. We're still finding a few bugs here and there, but I believe this registration will go very smoothly. We're working with PCO staff. The pest control operating licensing is the next one that we want to get online. It's a very complicated online system that's going to involve not only the licensing, but the educational requirements that they have to have for that program. And that one is a little bit on hold too until feed online registration can be put into place, which has a priority over this time. The noxious weed program will be hosting a Medusa Head Symposium in October. Robert discussed the organics program and how that's processing the transition out. And lastly, seed update. I believe Russ Wilhelm is in the Sparks office, and I would like him to go ahead and give a seed update.
Hey there, everyone. This is Russ Wilhelm for the record. I was asked to be here today to kind of provide an introduction of myself, as well as give an update on my program and how it's running currently. So I'm in my 8th month at the Department of Agriculture at this point, and things are going really well for me around here. Just as an introduction, I guess, I'm from Fallon, Nevada, born in Ely and raised in Fallon. I moved to Reno in 2008 to pursue a college degree, which I obtained in 2014 from Cabner in environmental science. And the NDA so graciously took me in 2014, and I worked for the noxious weed program for a little under a year when I was hired on to manage the seed program as an agriculturalist in January of 2014, or 2015, I apologize. From there, I quickly realized what my undertaking was, and looked into my responsibilities, and those being taking in applications for all the seed products that are grown throughout the state of Nevada, managing the allium quarantine program, which entails surveying all the onion and garlic crop grown throughout the state for white rot fungal pathogen, as well as other pathogenic occurrences. So this year, in relevancy to that, we surveyed around 800 acres of garlic as well as around 3,700 acres of onion, which was quite the undertaking for one man. So we had to hire on a seasonal worker to assist us in that venture, and that worked out really well. We were able to get all of our allium species surveyed and inspected in under 6 weeks, which I myself walked around 85 miles doing so. So it was quite exhausting, you know. But we have to buy all new pants to be able to fit into the workwear that I need for this upcoming year. Let's see. So I'm also responsible for enforcement of the state seed law, which we're looking into revamping just based upon a couple of new developments within pesticide applications and growers' concerns in that. And then we're looking also into incorporating the National Seed Strategy, which was developed by the Department of the Interior, which encourages more cooperation between national, state, and local entities to be able to kind of coordinate and cooperate in a better means. And me personally, I've been attempting to do that already, just by strengthening state ties, as well as trying to learn as much as I possibly can from other seed certification agencies out there. Let's see, so we're trying to modernize the seed program based upon what our growers' needs are and what I kind of consider to be high priorities at this point. Looking into the automated form system so we can get everything online and paperless at this point would be a pretty big priority for me. Let's see. The native source ID program needs to be revamped, and we're attempting to encourage more growers to grow native seed for reclamation and restoration projects around the state. So hopefully we can get something started with that. Our seed lab testing facility is up and running nowadays, and we are at full capacity right now. So that's just being me, you know. So I've started doing seed testing for several growers around the state already, and we're doing really well. That's another means of revenue for the seed program, and I think that with that we'll be able to be on the rise. So other than that, if there are any questions, go forth, ask away.
How many varieties of allium are currently being grown in the state of
Oh, wow. Let's see. Several, I can tell you that much. Garlic alone, we had one grower produce 17 by himself, and that was just on a quarter acre. I don't know, Jim. How many different varieties are you growing out there?
Well, probably 5 varieties of garlic and maybe 6 of onions.
Yeah.
How much of that is being exported out of the state?
A good amount of it is actually. Yeah.
Virtually all.
Virtually all of it?
Yep. I would absolutely say so. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there any processing plants for allium, for end products here in the state of Nevada?
California is
most
primarily
processing?
going to be your state for
Okay.
that type of production. Dehydration is probably one of the biggest ones that we've seen.
Oh.
I think at this point. But yeah. Other than that, I'm Russ, and I'm encouraged.
Cool. All right.
Boy, I can't wait to see your enthusiasm in about 5 years.
Keep it on. Life's a garden. Dig it.
Wow, they shut her down up there. Huh?
They just went to lunch.
Yeah. Whether they wanted to or not. Okay.
The director asked me to give also another quick update in our plan industry update.
Yes.
So I'm passing around just kind of a quick PowerPoint presentation. I would have put it up on the screen there, but it would be really difficult to see on the screen, so I just printed it out. Keep in mind that the printer and I did not get along very well this morning, so it doesn't flip the way I would like it to. This is for the Rangeland Monitoring app that we've been trying to get up and going and developing for the last year. Tina Mudd had championed this, and it was kind of her idea and was pushing it forward, and we're continuing on with it. These are just some screenshots I just want to share.
I'm sorry, did you get it to Reno?
It's in Reno, and there's nobody in Sparks.
Okay,
All right, it's in Sparks, there's nobody in Vegas. And so, these are just some quick screenshots so you can get an overview of what this app is going to look like and some of the capabilities that and sorry to make you jump all around through this. As I said, I didn't get along with the printer this morning very well. The last couple of pages show currently how we are doing range monitoring on paper and pencil with the forms that are out there. It's very cumbersome and takes a lot of time to fill it in. There's a lot of mistakes that are made in tallying as you go down the rows on all of these forms. So this app is going to make it to where all of this can be just done with the touch of a button or a couple of swipe touches of buttons. We are getting it to where we can actually add photos directly with the app. So you're going to be using any type of tablet or phone to use this, and you'll be able to add photos as you're doing the range monitoring, or if it's landscape appearances or site investigations. There's about 4 or 5 different types of surveys that you'll actually be able to do through this this particular app. I'm not 100% familiar with all of the surveys. I'm not a range person myself per se, so I'll answer any questions that you have on it. We do anticipate through the developers that we will have a beta model of this application by September 21st. The beta model will be for Apple only, so we'll be able to put that in our department. We're an Apple department, so we'll put it on our cell phones and also our iPads. And we will share this with those in the industry that can benefit from it and start using it, so we can test it out, see how well the app works, and then come back with some suggestions on, hey, it'd be really great if it also did this, or this isn't really helpful, or whatever feedback we get. Take that back to the developer. Within a couple weeks, they should be able to finish that, and they'll be able to roll this thing out, within about a month's time after receiving the beta version for both Apple and also for Android products. And that's where we're sitting right now with the Rangeland Monitoring app. Happy to answer any questions that I can.
Any questions? Does that pretty much cover the update for the department, Don? Robert? Okay. And the division? And the division. Okay. We are at lunchtime. So, we need to do some business before 1 o'clock. We have the state engineer coming at 1 o'clock in his office in Carson, or in Carson. So 1 o'clock, we should probably do some business before we get to him. So I'm thinking probably 12:30. How's that sound? We do have food here for the board members. If the guests will wait patiently outside, as when there's leftovers, we'll throw it out the door to you. But those of you in Reno and Sparks, we'll be back at 12:30. Vegas, 12:30. We're off the record.
And Boyd, Brian, and Pete, I need your travel form, and if you received an iPad, I need your and your stipend.